Hey, I'm Cory Lovell, your intern minister here at All Souls Unitarian Church, and I'm so excited to welcome you to this second episode of CommUUne, a space for worship, education, and connection. Tonight, we'll take a look at just a few of the ways that All Souls engages with our broader community to advocate, agitate, and educate about some of the most pressing issues facing Tulsa today. But before we dive into all that, though, we have an incredible musical guest tonight, an alum from the All Souls Youth Choir program who recently played an incredible set at our fall festival on the front lawn. We're so thankful to have them here tonight. Emmanuel Wayne performing their new song, Generation Y.
Look at the world today. How did we get here? What can I even say? Somehow these things just don't make sense. So you're telling me, sir, that my sisters and my niece can't make the choice, sir, to do the things that they need. And you're telling me, sir, that little babies on the street don't have a place here, but somehow more is what we need. And it all seems ironic to me, but what do I know? I'm just generation. Why do we keep pushing these things that pull us backwards? Aren't we smart enough to know? Let's take a moment to talk about the things that you sweep under the rug. You say that's not the point, so how do I move on from all the things that you've done? Because you see, sir, the history books don't talk about where I come from. My hair stays long to honor those who once had it cut. The land you kill is stolen, oh, but that's not the point. So let's get to it. Because you see, sir, my gender marker keeps my insurance from going up, but it makes it awkward when I get pulled over by a cop. Cause I don't look or sound like her. I hope I shouldn't be concerned about this traffic stop. It all seems ironic to me, but what do I know? I'm just generation. Why do we keep pushing these things that pull us backwards? Aren't we smart enough? And I know that I got the best life I could get. My mother and my father made sure, but I know that if it wasn't for them, I'd be just another number in the system. It all seems ironic to me, but what do I know? I'm just generation. Why do we keep pushing these things that pull us backwards? Aren't we smart enough? And it all seems ironic to me, but what do I know? I'm just generation. Why do we keep pushing these things that pull us backwards? Aren't we smart enough to know?
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. We have a deep bench of talent here at All Souls, and it is such a joy to get to see some of it here on CommUUne. The COVID pandemic has certainly created a lot of new challenges for us to navigate and negotiate. But it also exposed countless issues in our healthcare, education, economic, public safety, and judicial structures that had been broken for a really, really long time. I spoke with several All Souls members who have dedicated their time, energy, and resources to standing up to these challenges and can tell us what we can do to stand with them.
Why don't we start out by just, you tell me a little bit about CRB and what y'all's mission is.
CRB is the food ministry of All Souls Church. But what we do is make sure as many people as possible in the world we live in have as much food as they need.
Everything we do is about partnerships. There is no walk-in public pantry at All Souls. We partner with other organizations, especially new, growing, starting out organizations that they have people they need to feed and they aren't sure how to do that, and we can help.
And we are helping to supply groceries to the pantry that Vernon African Methodist Episcopal Church keeps. A lot of that program is also an outreach to the homeless because there are so many homeless downtown. We've started recently an outreach to Comunidad de Esperanza, the Community of Hope, housed in and associated with Fellowship Lutheran Church, but is largely Hispanic refugees. I'm beginning to pick up on the fact that there are a lot of them that are from Venezuela. And the need is so great that people are taking what we supply them to manage their needs, putting it in a box and mailing it back to Venezuela.
Wow.
Wow. Incredible.
How drastically has food insecurity and the need for folks who perhaps have never utilized food outreach resources like this increased during the pandemic?
You got no idea because we didn't. It just, the dynamics, how has COVID changed? We, in 2019, 2020, we did just shy of 30 tons of food. In 2020, 2021, we did over 50 tons of food.
Wow.
We will probably do 75 tons this coming year.
So the need is almost tripled.
Yeah, pretty close. It's there. I mean, it's definitely doubled and then some. Yeah. So we ran into a rather amazing situation in which we had far too few volunteers to do what we needed to do and far more to do than we had ever done before. It's so hard to categorize the need. A lot of what we do is we leave that up to our partner organizations to tell us what they need and how we can best serve them. That's why the partnership thing is such a great model.
When we started working with Comunidad de Esperanza, they shared with us, here's what our families make traditional meals out of. Here's what they will want to cook with. And so we're able to adjust that by working with the food bank. Our mission is provide food with dignity, right? And that's part of the volunteers being there in person, working with the partners, building those relationships.
My name is Margo Mitchell, and I'm a native Tulsan and chairing our Partners in Education committee right now. Partners in Education goes way back, even before my time at the church. It's been in existence, I'm going to guess, for about 30 to 40 years now. The whole focus is on students. And when we say partners in education, Cory, there's really 4 important components. And that's, of course, the students, their families, the school, teachers and staff, and then last but not least, the All Souls volunteers. So it's a team working together.
Public education has been underfunded for a long time. Teachers have been underappreciated and underpaid for a long time. And our public schools have been overcrowded for a long time, even before COVID. So all of those systemic issues already existed, and then the pandemic hits. How has that changed PI's mission and engagement, and how you go about being partners in education?
We're still trying to provide as much support as possible to the teachers. And we've all heard about the mental health challenges for all ages, and they are also a part of that. So I know that's a challenge that the teachers are facing. And so we're trying to kind of prop them up, so to speak, and give them encouragement and become cheerleaders for the teachers, because, as you said earlier, they are so grossly underpaid and unappreciated that that's what we can do right now. Now, fingers crossed, numbers are starting to go down. So we're hoping that next semester we'll be able to become involved with the students directly. So that's what we're hoping for, because I think that's really where we make a difference, is when it's one-on-one working with the students. So let me tell you about some of our activities, and then they may say, oh, eureka, that's a match for me. And as I said, we're hoping for next semester, and that's not very far away, and we like to do some training before. One of the most valuable programs is our Reading Buddies, where you actually work with a student one-on-one, helping them strengthen their reading skills. We also have math tutors. That's pretty self-explanatory. Some of our enrichment activities people like to get involved with, because we are supporting a debate team. We also have a bike club. We help them with field trips. We provide shuttle drivers and chaperones for those field trips. So those are some of those enrichment activities that really make a difference.
Where can people reach out and find where to sign up and let you know that they're ready to be a partner in education?
Probably the easiest way for everybody is to go to the All Souls website and find the social justice teams. And in that list, you'll find PI, and you'll find a link that you can send us an email, and I promise you'll hear back from us very quickly.
Rick, thank you so much for being with us today and talking with us a bit about this tremendous effort that you're doing. All Souls Afghan care team. So what's going on with this, Rick? What can you tell us?
Okay, well, I know you, as I did, felt quite a bit helpless several weeks ago when we were watching things unfold in the news media on our exit. Now I'm excited to say that we've got an opportunity to be helpful to welcome our new neighbors into Tulsa. Roughly 800 Afghan refugees will be coming here over the next several weeks to resettle and build a new life. And we have just a great number of opportunities for anybody with any level of skills and of course, time to help out, making donations of household items and clothing and furniture that they'll need once they get placed in a housing, even hopefully permanent place. We've got interested volunteers signed on to meet them at the airport with welcome signs. Transportation for families or individuals is going to be a key need. So we've got a couple of us with vans and we've got drivers, and that's one area. Resourcing social and mental health resources was another key area. As you may be aware, we have members of All Souls who are highly qualified in that area, have a pretty broad net out in the community. And so there's lots of different ways, and it might be as simple as volunteering on one of the 2 shifts down at Catholic Charities Warehouse to sort out donations, throw them in the bins so they can be inventoried and dispatched to families when they arrive. And so if you have any time at all to get involved in some humble or spectacular way, we want to surround these new neighbors with love. And I'd like you to send me an email. We'll be in touch if you express interest, and I get your email address over the next couple of weeks, because in addition to some of these survival mode basics that they need help with immediately, we're going to be coming up brainstorming on some other ideas that would be more long-term strategies. And we're all going to learn a lot from this experience, no matter what your experience is with hosting foreign guests into Tulsa, if ever. This is more of a growth opportunity and a feeling of growth in what we will get back without expectations from it will be enormous, I feel.
My name is Nancy Coryell, and I am the co-chair of the All Souls Reproductive Justice team. I'm the All Souls representative on OKRCRC, which is the Oklahoma Religious Coalition for Reproductive Choice. I've been involved in that about 5 years and became president last year, and we do fundraising to help finance abortions for low-income women. I also am an ambassador for the website plancpills.org, which is an international website that helps women access medical abortions, which are the pills, using overseas doctors and overseas pharmacies. And it's a phenomenal organization. And one of the things that I think is really great is that you can then get a medical abortion for $100 instead of having to pay $650 at an Oklahoma clinic. And to me, $650 is $1 million to someone that's low income, right? And in Oklahoma, you have to do 2 meetings.
Yeah.
You have to do 1 visit, and and the next visit has to be later, another day. So we're talking, in addition to travel expenses, you've got having to stay overnight. And then do you need to stay overnight after the procedure? So it's so expensive for a lot of women. Mm-hmm. And it ought to be accessible to everybody.
Driving to a Planned Parenthood is one of the most nerve-wracking experiences you can go through, because you know you are going to be targeted and harassed.
And that's one of the things that the Roe Fund does, is we call them peaceful presence, but I think we're going to rename that to clinic escort so that people know what it is. Mm-hmm. And we provide volunteers that are there to help the women walk into the clinics.
Oh, fantastic.
And try to keep the protesters away from them. And we have to call the police quite often because the protesters won't stay on the public part.
And then there's been a history too of co-opting of the idea of women's clinics and creating these kind of fake clinics that are then funded by right-wing political and evangelical organizations that don't provide any health services for women, don't provide any reproductive or contraceptive assistance.
No, they provide misinformation and lies. And a lot of times, you probably know this, but they buy places across the street from the abortion clinics, and they put signs up that make you think that's where you're supposed to be going. It's awful. Body autonomy is important, male and female. We're often looking for people that will get their friends to contact their friends, and let's all call our legislature. Be heard, stand up, speak out. You have to make direct personal contact with the people that are making and changing the laws. It makes a difference when it comes from an individual. Not that it changes their mind, but they know how many people are pissed off about what they're doing.
Who do you need? How do you need them? And who can they contact to get involved?
You can contact the All Souls Reproductive Justice team through reprojustice at allsoulschurch.org. You can go to My All Souls and look for Repro Justice as a team, and you can join it there. And we're always looking for people that are passionate and with new and fresh ideas.
Make us aware, are a sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through. make us so where we are a sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through with thanksgiving. We are a living sanctuary.
All Souls, I know we're still getting to know one another, but if there's something that you probably know about me by now, it's that I'm a pretty big nerd. Always have been, and I always will be. If you'd seen my childhood bedroom growing up, you would have seen stacks of big band jazz compilation CDs next to stacks of VHS tapes of Star Trek The Next Generation episodes that I recorded off of Fox 23. And then next to that, stacks of books about really specific and random aspects of American history. I did not have a lot of friends, but I lived in a world inside of my head most of the time. One way, though, that I did feel a real sense of belonging, that I learned about the ethics of leadership and service, the one crown jewel of nerddom that I prized above all others and made me feel connected to a really huge, broader universe, was in the splashy and colorful pages of comic books. Often my favorite issues of them were the ones where not much action or fighting even really happened at all. To me, they were most interesting when they were smaller family stories, where characters got married, or when they took a day off from crime fighting to go Christmas shopping, or when the battle that they were fighting was not against some planet-eating intergalactic celestial, but some small philosophical or emotional decision inside themselves instead. And while these superheroes, in a way, were highly individualistic, I mean, they had flashy costumes, incredible powers, and in big block letters across the top of the book, their name, they also taught me so much about living in community, in giving of yourself for the larger good. At the end of the day, Peter Parker was just a regular kid who was trying to do right by his family. The X-Men were just awkward school kids who felt outcast and abnormal, and they knew how to stand up for one another. Diana of Themyscira may have been an immortal Amazonian goddess, but she was also just a frustrated citizen who had to keep deciding over and over that she wouldn't give up on her fellow humans. And the greatest part of all of this was sometimes the heroes screwed up. Sometimes they tried to do the right thing and failed. Not only did that make for compelling storytelling, but it also helped me realize that the ability to make a difference or to do right by someone is not rooted in some extraordinary superpower, some overwhelming moral exceptionalism, but instead in a simple but consistent series of choices to do something instead of nothing, to choose action over guilt, to choose vulnerability over fear. Many of our modern superhero myths were created by immigrants and refugees or children of immigrants and refugees. Eastern European Jews who created iconic characters as proxies for their own struggles against systems of oppression, fascism, and terror. Jerry Siegel was the Midwestern son of Lithuanian parents who fled anti-Semitism. He created a story about the last son of Krypton becoming the world's best hope. And of course, Stan Lee, the son of Romanian Jews who worked his way up through the WPA Writers Program during the Depression, served in the US Army, fighting fascism in World War II, and came back home, back to the States, overflowing with colorful characters of every size, shape, and stripe, to articulate that need deep inside of him for justice, equality, and democracy. We see the world as it is, and yet we know inside the way the world could or should be. The divine tug inside of us to better the condition of our fellows and live a life of truth and meaning and purpose. But we need not create colorful fictional heroes to accomplish this. Not when so many small but necessary acts of heroism are available to us every day. The ancient myths told us to take care of the widow, the orphan, the stranger. The modern myths tell us that with great power comes great responsibility. All Souls has an incredible array of socially transformative organizations and programs that move us as a congregation, community, a society closer toward justice. But not one of these programs, not one, was started by ministerial directive. They were all started by you. One or two, maybe a small handful of folks who said, darn it, the way it is isn't right, and I'm going to do something about it. The church is not these four walls, these rows of pews, this pulpit or chancel. The church is inside you. It's the spirit of a mythic superhero that lives in all of us ordinary people. A great, magnificent spiritual power of humility and compassion. And when we feel it calling upon our convictions, it's our sacred responsibility to act with meaning and purpose to serve our communities. I hope you heed the call, heroes. All souls assemble.
This one is a reboot, you could call it, of a song written and performed by Gil Scott-Heron back in the 70s. If you haven't heard his version, I highly suggest listening to it. His version is called The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. My version is called The Revolution Will Be Televised. That's right. I said the revolution will be televised. On your phone, on your screen, in your face. Even if you're not looking, you'll see it all over the place. The revolution will be televised. This time made up of blacks and whites, fighting against the man who has too much power. This time it'll be brothers, sisters, natives, Asians, gays and theys, taking a stand against those who try to look at us sideways. The revolution will be televised. The revolution will be televised. We will take the world by storm. TikTok and Twitter will blow up with our faces, standing in the streets, making stands for our lands and our places, quoting our signs and our screams. The news will twist our words as they please because the revolution will be televised. Commercial breaks will try to shift your mind away. Kellogg's, they're great, but Tony the Tiger isn't fighting hard enough, and the Coca-Cola polar bear is really starting to warm up. But the world is on the right track. The US of A, home of the slave, home of all the mass graves that were made for indigenous skin, pigmented colors of the pages of the treaties that were torn and dismissed. The revolution will be televised. We will stand up for all things taken right before our eyes. We will see our blood spilled on the same streets that our ancestors fought to live on. We will see our sisters' rights voted away as the tears of their fears cover the media page. The revolution will be televised. The revolution will be televised. The revolution will be on your street. No, on your doorstep. No, in your homes, on your big screens that take our minds away from the pain that the ones in office stand to gain from, while we stand to lose some, simply standing up for our rights. The revolution will not come quietly. You will not be able to pretend anymore, because what happens far away carries with storm on the coattails of hashtags until the whole world knows. We will know what side you take. We will know which homes are safe if we are ever pushed to run. We will know, just as you will know, all that is going on, because the revolution will be televised.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. You can check out their music on YouTube as we eagerly await a debut album. Special thanks to our All Souls Justice organizations, Community Resource Bank, Partners in Education, Reproductive Justice, the Afghan Care Team. Thanks again to our AV team for getting this program out to you all. And of course, thanks to the best live act to ever grace the sanctuary, Rick Fortner and David Smith. We'll see you all for another episode of CommUUne again on November 3rd, but stick around for Wednesday Community Connections classes and join us next week for the Children's Chapel show, All Souls Kids. Blessed be y'all. Have a very, very good night.